All right, I missed a large part of the Super Bowl, man. I seen like the first few possessions. I just went to sleep, man. I had to travel back home yesterday, man, and I just had time to watch it. But I woke up in time for halftime. It was 9-21, I believe it was, and I seen the weekend halftime show and all that stuff. But let's talk about it. Tampa Bay won Super Bowl 31-9 and held Kansas City without a touchdown. I remember somebody was talking to me about how they gonna win. And what I understand, I knew Eric Fisher didn't play. He messed his Achilles up. But then I think they right tackle went out like yesterday. And the reason Kansas City lost that game, it wasn't because Tampa was the better team. They lost their tackles. I think they had a guard playing right tackle. And obviously we know Eric Fisher blew his Achilles out in the game. And it wasn't a cheating. You know, people say, well, the cause. I mean, I don't think it was that. I just think simply when they lost their left tackle, I was like, all right, Tampa Bay got a chance. And then I seen the highlights and them pitting their right guard at right tackle. Look, tell the difference between the tackle and the guard, okay? It's a big difference. And one of the big differences with tackles and guards is basically you on an island. If you playing right tackle, you're on an island to your right. You on left tackle, you're on an island to your left, okay? It's hard to go from playing guard because guard is more physical. You got a tackle and a center next to you. It's just a different type of game. I got some experience playing both, okay? When I was way younger. It's just two different things. As a tackle, you got to have long arms and you got to be athletic. You know what I'm saying? And the reason you got to have long arms to be a tackle is because you got to be able to control those pass rushers on the edge. And that was the difference. They wasn't going to run on Tampa regardless of health and injuries. They wasn't going to run on Tampa. When those tackles went down, the game was over with. Mahomes was running for his life for a reason. And if you know Andy Reid teams, they don't like to run the ball, okay? And they couldn't run the ball regardless yesterday. So they couldn't supplement not having those tackles in. Now, what could you have done? You could have went into more heavy sets, you know. You could have went into put a fullback, put two tight ends out there. You could have went to heavy sets and probably kind of, you know, done something with that. Have Kelsey block. Have him do a late release. Call screens, move the pocket, cut the field in half from Mahomes. I mean, and roll them out on boot. It's a lot of things they could have did that they didn't do. Could have came with wide receiver screens. You know, could have lined Kelsey up on the backfield and got a better match. I mean, it's a lot of things they could have done. But the issue is, and they talking about they got to get rid of Sammy Watkins. I seen on ESPN. The issue was, other than Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins, none of their receivers can run the route tree. You know, it's important. This is why you need a Terrell Owens, a Brandon Marshall. You need Musa Muhammad. We talked about him yesterday at Jeff. You need a possession receiver. Everybody get enamored with the speed because of Madden. You need a receiver that can work underneath. You know, it's cool to have the Randy Mosses, the Tyreek Hills of the world, but you need a guy, you know, like Jerry Rice. You know, like you need somebody that can do the dirty work, that can go over the middle and catch slants, that can do the timing patterns, the out routes, the dig routes, the comeback routes, you know, who can run the shallow crossing routes. You need those guys. It's cool to run the 9, the post, the corner, the flat, whatever you want to call it. It's cool to run those routes, but you got to have somebody working underneath. Once you got that chain mover working underneath, you know, that everything, then you'll be okay. Possession receivers are just important as guys that can stretch the field because I can play 2-man under going to the shell, and that's what they did. Like, I already knew what they was going to do. They went into that shell, and Kansas City couldn't adjust. You know, and the Atlanta Falcons did it. Detroit Lions a couple years ago did it, and they just refused to run the football. They refused to shorten their routes. Everything is going down the field, you know, and Mahomes can chop it down the field and go up and down the field and score touchdowns. But the Kansas City lost that game because of injuries, and you know, and Andy Reid not refusing to run the ball. He's always been like that. And with the injuries, they should have ran the ball. You know, they should have slammed it down their throat. They should have got Mahomes move in the pocket. They should have got into the screen game. They could have went into heavy sets, 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, 2 tight ends, 1 fullback, 1 receiver. They could have went into that. You know, they could have spread it out more, put a fifth receiver in there. You know, but Andy Reid creativity ran out. Mahomes cover up a lot of Andy Reid's. He covers up a lot of Andy Reid's shortcomings offensively. And this is why Sean Payton is the best offensive mind in the NFL right now. I don't think Sean Payton can surpass Bill Walsh because, you know, everybody got some type of principles of West Coast offense. But I think Sean Payton is head and shoulders above the best offensive mind. Even with him not being here on Saturday, I think that's more Drew Brees not being able to hang in there. And we'll see that. But Sean Payton is the greatest offensive mind, I think, outside of Bill Walsh that I can remember. Because one thing about, so you could talk about Mike Marson, the running gun, Detroit Lions. I forgot who brought it to them in the 90s to run and shoot. You know, you could talk about the nerve turner offense, the bang gate and all. You could talk about Bill Walsh, and he's the only one I can see being above him. But the difference with Sean Payton and Andy Reid and Sean McVay and everybody else, well, Sean McVay, you know, to me, he ain't in the conversation no more. But the difference between Sean Payton and everybody else going right now and before him, other than what's cuz name, Bill Walsh, the creator of the West Coast offense, the people who didn't know. Other than Bill Walsh, the difference with Sean Payton is Sean Payton can tailor his offense to his personnel. If Sean Payton want to go out there and run the ball 50 times, Sean Payton can do it. He want to spread it and run and pass the ball 50 times, he can do it. If he want to run and pass, Sean Payton is the most, other than Bill Walsh, the greatest offensive mind that I've seen. Because Sean Payton ain't like Andy Reid. He ain't going to come out there and throw a fit. He going to do what he need to do. And with Tampa Bay yesterday, when those tackles was out, it wasn't no secret to me that they held Kansas City without a touchdown. When I kind of heard their right tackle was out watching the, I said, oh yeah, you know, can't too many guards play tackle. So I knew Andy Reid was gonna keep throwing the ball, and running Mahomes to the ground. And he already had an injured toe. It wasn't Mahomes' fault they lost that game. Andy Reid's inability to morph the offense into, you know, or adjusting the offense into not having they starting tackles was the big difference. And a lot of people didn't know that. When somebody was saying, I don't know if Tampa Bay can beat them. When I was like, yeah, they tackle out. If I heard they right tackle went out, wasn't no chance. They had no chance. And that's why that D-line looks so dominant. You know, even they look good versus Aaron Rodgers, you know, to be honest, but Aaron Rodgers still had a chance to win that game with all the turnovers. He didn't. And Kansas City defense, they not equipped to play from behind and make plays. They're good defense. They're a defense that's equipped to get lead, to save leads and increase leads. And last year they came back and they did help erase some leads with the offense. But to be honest, Andy Reid is really, his legacy is saved by having Patrick Mahomes. If you give Sean Payton, Le'Veon Bell, and you give him Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming out the backfield, he gonna wheel route you to death, Texas route you to death, option route you to death. You know, he ain't even gonna think about going down the field until after you preoccupied by those backs. He gonna run it off tackle. He gonna run it inside. He would have abused Le'Veon Bell and Clyde. Knowing his two tackles was out, and he would have had them chip and release. He would have had them block or release. Look here, it would have been all about Edwards and Le'Veon Bell having 20 touches apiece. And people want to cry conspiracy. That's okay. It was some questionable calls, but it didn't even matter. They didn't even score a touchdown. Even with the pick, it wouldn't have mattered. They offensive mind, their head coach, he has never been able to make the adjustment. He's been allergic to running the football, and that's what that game boiled down. It wasn't like Tom Brady went out there and won the MVP. He didn't go out there. He went through for 200-some yards, 207 yards, whatever it was. He was the MVP because, you know, it was a season award for him. He was the difference between a Super Bowl and not making the playoffs for 17 seasons. His leadership, and it just, you know, separated him as the greatest football player of all time in a lot of people's opinion. You know, and in my opinion, time is the biggest difference. But yesterday, the biggest difference was the Chiefs not having a healthy offensive line. And, you know, that's, you know, I don't think it's a fault on Mahomes. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Congratulations to Tampa Bay. Don't forget, we on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out if you have a business question, require response, your video request. All my social media links, description. Fast way, reach me Twitter, then Facebook, then Instagram. We also got a Facebook group. All links in the description. Want to make a donation? Cash App, CJ Good 313. That's in the description. PayPal link there as well too. Best way to donate. Share the video one time for the one.